On this episode of Local Film Talk, Steve Neilson and Lance Bacon of Oh Crappy Day. Hit the subscribe button and watch the episode.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Local Film Talk. This is the show where we talk to people in central North Carolina, the Raleigh-Durham, Chapel Hill area, about the film projects they're working on. Hopefully, they'll give you some advice to help you with your own projects. I'm Bob Walters of Triangle Life TV.
And I'm Conrad Arnold of Triangle Film Community. And today we're speaking with Steve Neilson and Lance Bacon, who are the filmmakers behind the short film Oh Crappy Day, which is about to do its 25th film festival in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Didn't you see that at the Carborough Film Festival, Bob?
I did not, because I was actually covering the Carborough Film Festival, recording all the Q&As and everything. If you go to our, if you've listened to our podcast or you go to our YouTube channel, you can check out a lot of our coverage of the Carborough Film Festival. But I was probably busy transferring data onto my laptop, freeing up memory cards and everything, and actually didn't get a chance to watch the movie, but it got a really, really good response from the crowd. So I knew I had to try to get these guys to get on the show. And they've actually been doing really well on the festival circuit, right?
Right. Like I said, Chattanooga will be their 25th, and they are now talking about taking the short film and making a feature out of it, because apparently there has been a demand for it.
Man, that is cool. So they're going to talk about that and a bunch of other cool stuff in this episode. So without further ado, here's our interview with Lance Bacon and Steve Neilson of Dagtype Films about their newest short film, Oh Crappy Day.
I love doing stuff like this, especially, we're talking about our film, and that's great, but also you can kind of dig into the people, but also, attract the local filmmaking community, say, we're not dead yet,
Right. And I'm always amazed at how many people I don't know.
Oh, yes.
Well, you can mark us off your list, Bob.
Yep.
Same for you, Conrad.
Yeah, stay in touch, guys.
Around town.
I know.
Like, we were eating at Bad Daddy's today, and we saw
Andrew Martin.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, and we have people, like, ever since that article, a lot of people have come up to us. That's how you reached out to us too, Conrad.
Right.
And they'll say, "Are you such and such with A Crappy Day?" And it's like, "Yes, we are." And they're like, "I loved your movie, this, that, and the other." So I love that. That to me is when you get in front of an audience of strangers at these film festivals, and they come up with talk about really breaking you in for just shoot me all these questions. It's amazing how insightful some of them were. There was one in Reel to Reel. This lady talked to Lance and said, "I love the end of the movie where at the end, he's like, everything was contaminated." And she's like, "Yeah." And he starts to swing the bag. She says, "That was like a dog wagging its tail." And we're like, "Oh, well, yeah, you're right." So,
No. That's where you say, "We're glad you caught that."
That's right. That was going to be a trivia question.
That's exactly what we were going for. We're glad somebody picked up on it.
Well, I did notice the detour poster in the film.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
You're the very first person who's mentioned that.
Film noir there.
That's us.
We did that for two reasons. Because one, there's a line in the poster that says he had something like he had a date with danger or something. And,
yeah.
So it had the date aspect to it, but also it's in the public domain, so we didn't have to pay anything for it.
There you go. Public domain. It'll save you.
That same scene when he's coming out on the phone, he opens the drawer and all the shirts are all perfectly lined up. If you see where he's shot sideways, in the background is our first movie poster called Foresight. And
I saw the trailer for it.
And in the blur is our lead actor that was in that movie. So yeah, it was a labor of love, and it actually made it. We got to our very first film festival in Sacramento. Lance's script.
Well, the script
did, the script, and it got to the top 3 finals, and we were on a boat and we lost, but we were at the top 3 finals, and we got into a film festival. We were like, woohoo, one laurel for Foresight, yes. So, but those are the things that make you humble. It makes you think, okay, what went right, what went wrong, did we do too much? Probably, but we learned a lot. So let's apply what we've learned and make it better. And don't just attack everything. Everything has to be better. What are the 3 major elements that will make this movie great in your eyes? And that's how we did Oh Crappy Day.
Has it been on the festival circuit much, or was the Carborough Film Festival the first one?
No, actually, we've been on the film festival circuit over a year. So we're heading into our 2nd year, and we're currently at our 25th selection for a film festival. So we just got our 25th selection at the Chattanooga Film Festival, which is coming up in April, May time, I think. And during this time, the best part is being selected, as I said earlier. I think you're winning when you get selected because you're beating out so many thousands of films that are being submitted. I don't think people realize how difficult it is to actually get into a film festival, big or small. And I feel like for us, we not only were able to do that, but over the course up until our 25th, I feel like I'm a 25-year-old in my quarter-century old, looking back at my life. But also at the same time, I'm looking and I'm going, wow, we've had 8 awards. 4 of them were top award-winning film short for comedy, and then Lance actually won for Best Director in Brooklyn. Nice. We were real excited to kind of close out the year with that, and then get selected for a couple of more going into 2016, which is Chattanooga and then Southern California.
Okay.
And our lead actor really wanted to hit 25, so
yeah,
Jordan is very happy.
I know.
Now, do you guys travel around to any of these festivals? Like, are you going to go to Chattanooga?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. We've been to we went to Sioux City, Iowa. That was the first one.
10 below.
20 below.
20 below.
Atlantic City, New Jersey.
It's winter film festivals, man. It can get cold if you're heading up to one in the northern states.
They were having a blizzard around this time last year too.
In Atlantic City too. Yeah.
Oh. You got to get the strategy down in the winter months. The nice southern tropical film festivals.
Yeah, why aren't you guys submitting to stuff in Texas and Miami and Phoenix?
Columbia, yeah.
Well, we've had what, 5 in
Rio,
5 in California.
Yeah.
So Jordan has pretty much represented us out there.
Jordan Esther is our lead actor.
Yes. But we had beautiful weather in Houston. We went to World Fest last April. Yes. And that was gorgeous. They had a regatta, so we went out on sailboats after the screenings.
It was fun.
It was very nice.
It was fun. We won the Platinum Award for Best Comedy Short there, which was really big for us because it's weird when, even though winning doesn't stink, it's great. We realized that we started kind of getting elevated to this level. Like, the only way I can describe it is, you're on American Idol and you're a part of the top 10 all of a sudden for the year, and people are coming to you. We're on with Asbury Shorts Film Concert Tour. We're one of 12 movie shorts where they go around the country and they show the movie. So we're on tour with them. And as we were winning, it started opening up doors for us for interviews, newspaper, and potential need. The public. We have to do what the public wants, and the public wants a full-length feature of Oh Crappy Day.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So we're doing that.
Well, that's cool. That'll be really neat. We'll have to get into that more a little bit later. Sure. I'm curious, when you guys are you talk about getting into all these festivals, do you find that if you get into a bunch of festivals and you start winning awards and everything, do other festivals that you submit to, are they less likely to take you because they want something different to differentiate themselves, or do they want the heavy hitters and they say these guys are winning awards and that ups your chances of getting in?
I think we've found that it probably helps us because there have been some festivals where word of mouth got to the organizers of other festivals. Someone saw us in Houston, for instance, and they told their friends back in New York, hey, there's this great little film. You need to check it out. And sometimes they have just told us, it's like, you need to submit this to this festival in such and such a city. Right.
Or we've received an email where they'll say, can you send your screener to us? And they just bypass the fee. Carborough, Nick actually saw us in Longleaf, where we won as well. When I went up to introduce myself, he goes, oh, I know who you are. You were at Longleaf, and I was there. And so, it's nice to know that, we have such support here in North Carolina. We've had 4 festivals, and it's just been really an amazing. We've been to all 4 of them. We had to go, except Foot Candle. We had our assistant director, Dwayne Terrio, go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it could be a busy schedule having to tour and go to all these different festivals.
Oh yes, we've had 2 weekends where we were in 3 different festivals at the same time.
Coast to coast. Yeah.
Wow.
What a terrible problem to have.
Yeah, really. I'm so jealous of that problem.
I am too. I'm going to repeat it all over again.
Oh, so what festivals were you in North Carolina? Carborough, Longleaf.
Right, Reel to Reel.
Okay.
And then that was Kings Mountain, Reel to Reel, Foot Candle.
Foot Candle. That was
Foot Candle.
Yeah.
And Hickory. That was their first one.
They didn't mention FilmSpark, Conrad.
I know, because they didn't submit to FilmSpark.
They didn't submit to FilmSpark.
How do you know that, Conrad?
I just happen to know that because I ran FilmSpark. And that sub come in.
Oh, I hate to put people on the spot.
We will submit to FilmSpark. How's that?
We will.
We played at the History Museum twice, but
Oh, cool.
Encore performance.
It was really cool. It was a good year this year. We got the it was Conrad ran it. I kind of helped out a little bit. We did a live episode of Local Film Talk, and I believe it was the first time that FilmSpark had ever been done at the Museum of History. They had a really nice theater and everything. It was a pretty good experience, especially for our first try.
yeah, I don't think that theater was completely renovated when they did Longleaf yet. Because when I looked at the venue before, they were still putting in like a new screen.
Oh.
It's changed a little bit since May.
It was very nice when we had FilmSpark there. I don't know if we'll get it again. That'd be nice. We'll have to see how things pan out. It was a little weird last year because we didn't find out we were going to be in charge of FilmSpark until 2 or 3 months ahead of time.
Like near the end of June.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's not a lot of time to plan a film festival.
Oh, I think
Isn't it amazing when a plan comes together?
Yeah, really. So now that we're going to have actually the reason that we're recording tonight is because the very first SparkCon meeting is tomorrow night, and Conrad's got to go to that. So we're going to have
we will submit.
We're going to have 8 or 9 months to put this one together. So
it'll be nice to have extra time. So
Much better paid.
Exactly. Keep it light, keep it romantic.
Yeah. Well, it is 9 o'clock right now. We have 8 viewers. I think that's a new record for us live. Thank you to everybody who is watching. Everybody who is foregoing a football playoff game and the revival of the X-Files. Just gonna wait a second and watch that number drop back down to 2.
They better not leave.
I'm missing football.
Let's just remind you of all the competition there.
Yeah. Let's just talk. Let's spend the next 45 minutes talking about all the much cooler stuff you could be doing than watching the show.
All the back catalog of good.
Oh my God, I could be raising money for the film.
Fallout 4 is out right now. If you haven't finished that game, you can go and play that some. But no, to the people who are watching, thank you for joining us. We've been we actually started a little earlier so that everybody posted all over social media so everybody would have a chance to come and join in before we really got into the nitty-gritty of it. So thank you everybody who's joined in. As you probably know, we are talking to Lance Bacon and Steve Neilson, the writer, director. Lance, you were writer and director of Oh Crappy Day.
Yes.
And Steve,
Producer.
you were the producer? Okay.
Guilty.
So yeah, tell us a little bit. We've been talking about how it's been on the festival circuit and how cool that was. Let's get to the film itself. How did you guys come up with the idea? Is one of you guys, for those of you who didn't haven't seen it on the festival circuit or grasped from the poster, it's about a guy with, well, it's not a spoiler. It happens very early on. You find out this guy has OCD. Is this something that comes from personal experience, or what inspired you to make a movie about this?
Yes, in writing the story, I certainly drew on my own experiences dealing
Personal or like friends and family members?
No, myself.
Okay.
They say write about what you know, so I figured, hey, this is a lot easier than researching Renaissance history or something.
Right.
Right. Murder mystery.
That's right.
Which is typically what he does is write dark things, and here we are, we're getting recognized for a romantic comedy that has to do with somebody who has OCD, oh crappy day, and it just went from there. And I read it and I thought, oh my God, I know who this person is.
So I wanted to do something about OCD, but I didn't want it to be a downer. I didn't want it to be heavy, and so I thought, let me do a romantic comedy, and I'd never done it before, so I thought, let me give it a try and see what it's like. And I wrote it fairly quickly.
Very quick.
It was a lot of fun to write, and people seem to respond to it. A lot of people come up and say, I could really identify with the character. And one of the things I thought when I was writing it is very few people would identify with the movie because he is kind of an odd bird. And so I was really very pleasantly surprised by how many people said, hey, I know exactly what this is like, or I know someone like this. Mm-hmm. And they would pick up different aspects of his little habits, of which he has quite a few.
We'll just keep it to the hands.
So do you? I personally don't have a OCD issue, but did you find? I guess it's compared to your personal experience. Did you have to embellish much for the sake of the story, or to make it more cinematic, or is it? Is one of the reasons people identify to it because you stayed pretty true to life?
I think, yeah, actually, I did not have to embellish it very much. Most of the things he does, I've either done myself, or I know other people who've done things like that. Yeah, so I would say it's pretty true to life. And another thing, I
can verify that.
Well, another thing that made me happy in terms of the response to the film is people said they liked the fact that we dealt with OCD without making fun of the character for having it. It's a comedy and you laugh, but it's laughter of recognition in a way. It's something. Even if you don't have OCD, you can see yourself as having some issue that makes you kind of strange sometimes. Well, makes you feel unusual.
And I think everyone always roots for the underdog.
Yeah.
There's always they see him, and if anybody has seen the movie, and I know most of those people that are online have, they know that at the end you want them to get the girl, but you don't really know. I think the biggest compliment that we had when we initially screened it after post-production, which took almost a year, we screened it actually at the Rialto in Raleigh. And we had sent out an invitation for family and friends, maybe about 100, 200 people showed up. And it filled the whole entire theater, which was like, wow.
Oh, wow.
And the guy who runs the theater was in the wings while we were prepping and said, this doesn't look like an independent film to me. It looks very professional, and we're happy to have it, in our repertoire. So we were very, very happy to screen it there, and then it just kind of went on. We went on to the festival circuit, and for everybody who does film, it's not that easy. We went the whole entire year with rejection after rejection. We did not get into any. We go through the holidays, and you start thinking, oh, well, where's my life going to take me now in filmmaking? What else is there? I'm not good at romantic comedies either. So the day after New Year's, we get a notification that the Garden State Film Festival in Atlantic City chose our film to be screened. And you would think that, we won the Academy Award or something, and so we don't take those types of things for granted, and I don't ever want to lose that feeling. And fortunately enough, it's the first time for me, and if anybody's ever watched Bud Abbott and Lou Costello as a kid, our names have been affiliated with the Lou Costello Award for Best Comedy Short at that festival. And to hear your name along with Lou Costello was a moment that I can't even put it in words.
It's got to be really exciting.
We just never thought we were going to win anything because we were up against, movies with Ann Mira and all these other folks. Jerry Stiller, and then, Mr. Ed Asner's on the board, and all these people, and the next thing you know, the best film short gets called, and we thought, oh my God, that's our
Comedy
movie,
short.
comedy short. And same thing to me. And then everything went narrowed down. It's like tunnel vision. You hear all these people clapping. I walk around, and there's Mr. Asner clapping, and I'm like, oh my God, he's looking at me and clapping. And I'm not a starstruck person, but he chose our movie, and we couldn't be more than honored that night. It was a moment that I don't think I'll ever forget. So
That's great. Well, I have a comment. One thing I really liked about the film was that, you deal with the OCD, but it's not like the pathology of it. It's just who he is. It's just a character. And I used to date somebody who had OCD, so it felt right to me, especially that scene where he's shaking the guy's hand, and
Jared.
all he can think about is his hand. He can't even concentrate in the moment. And my ex was just like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that felt right. But talking about the Rialto, I did want to get into that. It seems like you guys have a really tight tie with the Hayes Barton community because you shoot part of the film in the cafe there.
Yes.
So how did that help with the filmmaking process for you guys? Like how easy was it for you to get that location, to get
out? Oh, very easy. Yeah, Frank and Margette are husband and wife. It's a mom and pop restaurant. It's Hayes Barton Cafe and Dessertery. We've been going there. We live in the neighborhood. We live in 5 Points, and it's right up the street. We went down, and I spoke with him and said, Frank, we're making a movie. And he says, finally. I said, I need a restaurant. He goes, here are the keys. And that was it. They left for the weekend and entrusted their livelihood to us, of course, with a certificate of insurance, of course.
And that's how it goes every time, folks. It's always that easy.
It is. Oh. It is. It was fantastic. And then the film crews showed up, 6 a.m. call sheet, and we had 50 extras. Nothing crazier than your very first shot is with 50 people filled up in a restaurant, and you're trying to figure out your place and your cinematographer and everybody, and it just went like we just all just gelled together. And that after that day, I was like, oh my God, I think we have a really good team. And I think this is really going to work. And it was just fantastic. And it just went wonderfully, and it was great. And everybody showed up, friends, everybody. And then people around the neighborhood were wanting to know, who are these people and what's going on. And it just started from there, and it hasn't really stopped. So we're pretty excited.
Yes. And we had Novo at the Pig did our catering for lunch because they had to close the kitchen at Hayes Barton. The Baptist Church let all the extras park over there in their lot. So yeah, it was for 5 Points. We just had the warmest reception.
Yes, we did, and it is not that easy with locations. We have filmed at the North Carolina Museum of Art, and they were gracious. We were very lucky, and I think it's all in the approach. It's all in how you handle it, and I think you have to build a rapport with people and know that you're not going to go in and damage their livelihood, and know that you're going to take care of it, and I think that's really, really important.
Right. I did a short film a couple of years ago that had a scene that took place in the Museum of Art, and yeah, like you said, as long as you come in, you sound like you know what you're doing, you got your ducks in a row, you know exactly what you want. Mm-hmm. As long as people know or think, as long as they know they're dealing with a professional and not some screw-off who doesn't know what he's doing, people are usually very accommodating.
They are, and honestly, the gray hair really helps.
We got a live question in from Evan Kidd. He asks, what was the most rewarding part about making the film?
Mm.
Oh.
You take that.
I think this was the first production we did with a crew of professionals. Yeah. We had professional cinematographer Peyton Lee, professional sound guy Rich Walters, and a lot of other people, and it was such a great learning experience for us. Our previous film, we kind of did it was all do it yourself, learning on the fly, and working with all these great professionals that was wonderful.
Yeah,
I really appreciated that.
I think for me it's you get your hall pass. I don't ever regret making our full-length feature Foresight, because you did a little bit of everything, and you appreciate what everybody's doing, what all the contributions everyone is making. When we went into doing Oh Crappy Day, we kind of broke it down, and we, instead of looking at it more so from a creative perspective, we looked at it more from a practical business perspective. What went right, what went wrong, and what are the top 3 things that you need as a writer and director to make your next movie? And that's my job to kind of go and help make that happen. Plus, we cast together, we know, and then we started interviewing for the components that we needed: the sound person, the DP, an assistant director. And when we brought all these folks together, it's not only so much I'm hiring you to do a job, but you're part of this family called Dagtype Films, and you got to fit. It's kind of like hiring somebody in a small company. There's the technical abilities to do the job, but are you a fit as a team? And sometimes a lot of people can't do that. So for me to see all of that gel out, that to me was amazing. There were a lot of really great moments through the whole entire shoot.
Like you said before, it's great to see a plan come together, right?
Absolutely.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah.
I'm curious. You know, as you mentioned Dagtype Films earlier, you two together are. Sorry, hit the microphone. You two together are Dagtype Films.
Yep.
Like you said, you're new to romantic comedies. Are you new to, or do you usually do short films, or is it mostly client work? And tell us a little, just tell us a little bit about the work that you guys do normally do.
Well, everything we do is a fictional narrative. The first feature that we did was a murder mystery. Obviously, Oh Crappy Day was a romantic comedy.
Right. Not taken from real life or anything. Just so you know.
Well, I've also written scripts adapting a novel by Nathaniel Hawthorne, The Blythedale Romance, so that's a period drama. And then another script, The Imp of the Perverse, where I'm weaving together several stories by Edgar Allan Poe. So it's a little of everything, but definitely all fictional, whether it's set in the present or in the past.
Right. We've got a lot.
Sorry, I was just going to say, the past is a really great resource that I feel like I don't see people using enough. Everybody's always so, trying to crack that egg of coming up with their own thing. And, coming up with something new is, important to do. But at the same time, there's so many great stories and everything to draw on that from the public domain and everything. What kind of inspiration? I mean, obviously, you said you've directly adapted a few public domain stories from like Nathaniel Hawthorne and Edgar Allan Poe, but do you draw inspiration from a lot of older stuff as well?
Oh, yes, definitely. I mean, my background is in English and American studies specifically, so I've written on the relation between literature and popular culture, including films, but also going into politics of a particular era, say, for instance, the Cold War. And I've just always been a huge reader of historical texts and literary criticism and art history and photographic history. So it all kind of
gels together.
And
my background is, I'm originally from New Jersey. My family was in show business in New York City. My great aunt performed in the 1928 Ziegfeld Follies. So I was raised around that type of environment, Italian immigrants coming from Sicily and moving into New York. And I also have a great aunt who was an opera singer. So my background is more stage and screen. And so I got my education actually learning through my grandmother and watching old movies and asking a ton of questions. And when That's Entertainment came out for the first time, I was like front and center in the theater, because you got to, there is so much quality into the old films. It's like somebody who's learning how to dance. You can add all that pomp and circumstance and CGI, but you still need to know the basic steps of your dance moves. It's the same thing with filmmaking. If you don't have those necessary basic steps, you really aren't going to, you're going to lose people technically, which was when we made Oh Crappy Day, we wanted to also appeal to the technical audience. Somebody who looked at it and said, oh my God, it's been shot really well. The color balancing was fantastic. And it showed when we started winning awards for best music, best sound, and best plot twist. So there was all these odd awards, but they were so wonderfully received because it spoke to the technical abilities of this film as well. So I was very, very happy about that.
You know, so film festivals do tend to have some weird awards. What's the strangest one you've won?
Probably best plot twist.
Plot twist.
Yeah,
We weren't
I'd
sure what
never heard of
meant.
that before.
I mean, I guess he gets the
Well,
girl.
no,
I think we don't know.
Talk him away.
We don't know what happens because that's why, with the way the film ends, everybody wants to know what happened to Katie and Jared, and that was the big response we got in the screening. And it was the first time we screened the movie separate from people who know us and love us, but strangers who came up to us and said, I want to see what happens to these people again. You can't just end it like this. So that's what sparked the full-length feature. Plus, we had a contact out in the West Coast in Hollywood who was a big supporter of Lance's writing to begin with before we even did Oh Crappy Day. And of course, like any kind of agent or person who's promoting, they're like, oh, everything OCD people love. They'll buy it up, And it's so funny because he wrote that full-length feature in 5 months. And again, we just did our first table read between the holidays with our leads. We brought them together, so we'll be rejoining the same cast and crew, just expanding because it's going to be a full-length feature with different characters.
Okay.
Are you going to use the short in the feature, or are you going to just reshoot the short and continue the feature?
Yeah, we'll reshoot everything because of the way I expanded the story. Not all of the lines in the short are going to be in the feature, and there are other lines when they're in the cafe that we need. So also our cinematographer is going to be using his red camera, so it's going to be a different camera than
4K?
before. Yes, yeah.
Plus, we got to roll with the times. They're not college kids anymore. So
Right.
by the time we get it in front of the film, we wanted to make it a little more mature. So taking them from college classes to just starting post-graduation, going into their young adult lives of heading towards what do I want to be when I grow up. And you're still finding love. So we've kind of amped that up a little bit too to just kind of keep the mystery a little bit with the audience.
So you guys are in a really interesting spot that I'm sure a lot of people would like to hear about and learn what this is like. So you make Oh Crappy Day, and you kind of have free reign. You got to write it and direct it however you wanted. I guess you guys probably covered the budget or just had some very close family and friends. Probably not a lot of big investors that were telling you what changes to make and everything. Right. So in making the short, you've got a lot of autonomy.
A lot.
And then you take it out and you put it on the festival circuit, and now you're getting interest, and now you have interest from people in Hollywood and people who want to put money into a feature that they want to get a return on investment. They want to see it in the theater, and there's a lot of stuff that comes with that. So tell us what the process of getting courted up to the next level is like.
Right. It's been an amazing process, I have to say. I learned a long time ago, and I think that's where I've earned all this gray hair, is don't expect anything because you're never disappointed. And I think that's how life is, and you never put your eggs in one basket. But Oh Crappy Day, Dagtype Films, has been in business for 10 years. We are wholly owned. It's just Lance and I, and we fully funded our movie. So we are 110% not even obligated to, like when you sell a car to a family member, you never want to do that. So for that, you're right. It comes with grave autonomy. And when people hear that, they become very interested in, wow, how did you do that? Well, my God, if you can do this, can you imagine what you can do? So that's been the next step, is getting in front of these folks, crowdfunders, Indiegogo. We could do both. We've had people reaching out to us as opposed to the other way around where we're trying to sell. But I still want to be able to sell it, and also we can use Oh Crappy Day movie short, saying this is what we can do. And this is on a very short budget. All I need is this, and I can make it like that. And, when you have lightning in a bottle, not only with the great talent that we had, but also the cast and the crew, all of it together makes for really a very cohesive team, and that team has to come together in order for this film, full-length feature of Oh Crappy Day, to be successful. So for me, the process is getting into that investment community to say, hey, look, this is what we can do. Do a pitch. It's kind of like anything in business. Be able to sell it, but also to say, when it comes to return on investment, we won't get our return on investment. We'll wait for you to get yours first. That's the commitment we're going to make. We're also coming to the table with funds as well. It's not like, we're going, with a bucket and playing a guitar on the street. So I think for us, we're in a good place. I think we just have to kind of really strategize our next move and where we want to be, because you don't want to put too many fingers in the dam, because that will break.
Right. Are you finding that there's a lot of like weird, for a potential Hollywood theatrically released movie? Are you finding there's a lot of like technical requirements, like now you have to worry about following union rules and getting these kinds of permits and contracts signed? Your deliverables have to be in this particular format, and you have to follow these rules?
Right. Not for me, actually. My background is in pharmaceuticals, so everything I do is always FDA government regulated. So for me, bring it on. But we are planning on going SAG-AFTRA with our full-length feature. And everybody's like, what? And it's like, well, we can make a movie short by ourselves. We can certainly go SAG-AFTRA. I just think that you just have to do it. And what I hear from people is like, oh, the paperwork is awful. Well, good. We still have to do it, So, it's kind of what separates the men from the boys, if you will. I just think that you have to be very focused and know that by going SAG-AFTRA, knowing what's going on politically in the state of North Carolina in filmmaking, we're not going to give up. We're going to make a mark. And I think that's really important to state.
Mm-hmm. SAG will work with you. I've worked with them on projects before, and they're great.
Oh,
they're,
good.
They're not going to, like, I don't know what people are talking about. The paperwork's hard. It's really not. As long as you got your ducks in a row, you're fine, and they're more than willing to help you out, because they want their people to be working, and it helps you out too, because you get actors who are way more experienced.
And to be honest, the interest that we've got, I've already have a very good tie because of the film festival circuit with the investment community. Also with casting director out of Manhattan, who I had met with a couple of times. And my approach is Jordan Estes and Jess Barber are not SAG eligible yet. Actors. They're brilliant actors, obviously. The talent in those leads really have made the movie to where it is. So for them, we are so deeply appreciative for their efforts. But at the same time, I want them to be the leads, and you have to go in with kind of putting your hands and your heels in the sand on this. And some folks would say, well, but I can get you SAG-AFTRA actors. I can get this person and I can get that person. And it's like, right, you add oil and vinegar and you call it Italian, dressing. I get it. I don't want that. I make my own. And so we want more of a tossed salad. We can have SAG-AFTRA actors in the movie being character actors. In other words, you've got Jess and Jordan, they're in the scene, the waiter or somebody is like, hey, I saw him on whatever. That to me is fine. I mean, every actor needs to work and be exposed. But when they say, well, some people may say, oh, but you want a known actor. It's like, well, that known actor started out unknown. Somebody gave them a chance. Somebody gave us a chance. Look at us on the festival circuit. It far surpassed our expectations for what we thought Oh Crappy Day would deliver, but it's this little engine that could, and we're just kind of riding that wave and not taking advantage of, well, look at us, we're here, we've won all these awards. Big deal. Tomorrow it's another day,
Right.
And you've got to bring it. You've got to do something different. And I think for people who are making movies, you want to draw from old movies for inspiration, but you don't want to dwell on them, because then you end up doing a copy and paste, and it doesn't become original. And that's where, to me, the art of filmmaking, and why Lance is a very good writer in those aspects. So, and it makes my producing job much, much easier. That I will say.
Yeah, in terms of getting financing, I mean, we want to work with people who want to finance the movie based on seeing the short. And if they like the short and they want to see more of it, then the question of autonomy doesn't really become an issue.
Right.
Ideally.
Right.
If it's someone who wants to change things completely and put in another lead actor and actress, it's just, we know that's not going to be a fit for us. So we're just not going to work with
Well,
them.
you've seen it in history. Producers in Hollywood, I can make fun of myself. I mean, the Scarlet Letter remake, Demi Moore. I mean, there's so many movies that it was like, why did you cast those people? And we know this chemistry works on screen. We know there's a fire. When I read scenes with these two, and when I saw them for the first time, because Jordan was not our lead actor at that time. He was auditioning for that guy who was shaking his hand with the dirty hands. And when he came in, Jess was already chosen for the lead actress role. Lance wrote the script for her, who, by the way, also in our first movie, Foresight, came in 3 times for auditions, got in front of the screen, ended up on the cutting room floor, and ended up as a voiceover. But when he wrote the short film script, she became the lead actress because he remembered her. So it started from there. When Jordan came in, he was reading, and we were taking a break, and the two of them were talking, and all of a sudden, I'm just looking at him. He was doing that thing with his hands, and naturally. And I looked, and the hair on my neck stood up, and I looked at Lance and said, can I talk to you in the other room for a second? Because it wasn't a done deal with the lead actor yet. And we pulled Jess in. I said, you got 10 minutes to prep him for the lead role. And he did it and nailed every line. And then it was like, oh my God, I think we have something special here.
Just instant chemistry.
Yeah. And actually, we rented a space one building over from Hayes Barton Cafe and Dessertery. Upstairs, it was the literary office.
The Raleigh Review.
Literary Journal. So the guy let us do auditions up there. It's now a vapor room, but we were able to do our auditions up there, and that's how it all started.
That sounds really resourceful. Well, I mean, that's really cool to to see you guys progressing to the next step, and possibly getting some Hollywood funding and really getting the project out there. I'm excited to see how that turns out. Is there any other advice that you would have for like stuff that you've learned from this experience that you would give to other people and say, hey, this is what we learned, don't make this mistake, or make sure you do this in the future?
Right. I would say, for me, I would say filmmaking is not for the faint of heart. I mean, honestly, I have learned you have to hold true to what you believe. And I can say 20 years ago, would I have had that inside me to have this confidence? Probably not. And I think I admire young people who go into acting, get in front of the camera, they totally just strip themselves and become this character. For me, that is the most amazing thing to watch. The other thing is watching somebody write like he does, take it from his brain. I always get a little emotional over this because how do you write something, then you write it, someone speaks those words, and they're filming you, and doesn't that just blow your mind? Because they're your words, And when I see young people who have that ability and natural talent, it just blows me away. Because I didn't have that about 20, 25 years ago, And so for me, I would say that you really have to go in your heart of hearts, know that sometimes people will tell you, oh, you're not good enough, your first film was a flop, or this, that, and the other. Let me direct your movie. Let me edit your movie. Let me take all this away. Or, we can't do your movie because we want to do everything as a secondary production company. And we just don't let loose on that. And we won't let loose on that. And I think if we hold true to that core value, you'll be very successful. Sometimes it's a lonely place to be.
Yeah. I would say, in line with what you were saying about holding true, you will get people who say, you shouldn't be doing this, and you just have to go ahead and do it. Learn from your mistakes. I think we probably, instead of starting with a feature, we probably should have started with a short. But
and we should have started the short with just 2 people. We ended up with 50 extras.
Yeah, but
I mean,
but the thing is, we had a lot of fun. We met a lot of people that we are still working with,
and we're meeting you guys.
And we learned what to do differently. So it's kind of like just give it a go. I mean, it's so inexpensive anymore to do a digital film.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like the old days where you're shooting on 35 millimeter and the processing costs are exorbitant.
Right.
So just give it a try, but make sure you have a really solid story to begin with. I mean, that's the main thing.
Definitely. No guts, no glory.
Well, I want to ask you guys, because the past has come up a number of times now. Like, I didn't realize Dagtype had been around about 10 years, and then you just spoke about 20 years ago you wouldn't have been doing this. And you have a history in pharmaceuticals, and Steve, you have Lance, you have a history in English. What brought you to film? How did you get started in all this?
Mm-hmm. Very simple. We were living in Nashville, Tennessee, and I had lost my job. I was severanced, and I said, okay, well, pharmaceuticals are in North Carolina, and at the time, North Carolina was very big on filmmaking. Lance was teaching at Vanderbilt University as a PhD in English, and he was leaving that job to write screenplays full time. So we went ahead and decided, well, let's see, pharmaceuticals, movie making, North Carolina, because at the time it was number 3 in the United States for filmmaking. So we went, I know, toot toot, and that will come back again, people.
All the time.
It will come back again, and I will not give up on it. So we moved here, and Lance immediately got a job as we don't even know what it was, an assistant director, and the next thing I know, he's being asked to modify the script, and I'm like, where's your contract? And it started with that. 3 times after that, then he had a bad incident with this individual. He came home, he was very upset, and then one thing was, well, wait a minute, if they can do it, we can do it. And that turned into a business plan. The business plan became Dagtype Films, not Bacon Nielsen Productions. And the reason why we went with Dagtype Films is we collect early photography called daguerreotypes. And we thought Dagtype Films is perfect. It replicates the silver screen love that we've got and what we want to be moving forward. So we had quite a few scripts. We didn't know how to get started, and we got into a few screenwriting competitions is where it got started. And Lance, the Blithedale Romance, the adaptation for Nathaniel Hawthorne, got selected as a finalist. And oddly enough, he had left his academic career behind. Now we're about 10 years out into this, and a dean from the college said, hey, I know you. You're Jon Lance Bacon. Aren't you the one who wrote Flannery O'Connor's, Cold War culture book? And he's like, yes. She goes, could you come speak at our conference? So then he started doing academic independent scholar work. So this filmmaking, this Dagtype Films, has been the solid base for everything that we've done moving forward. And it's opened up all these opportunities for us. We always say we do filmmaking, and then we have our other job. You guys know what I'm talking about.
And the foundation for all of this is the fact that we have always been huge film buffs. I mean, everything going back to Edison's The Sneeze, silent film,
quoting
the golden age of Hollywood, the new Hollywood of the 70s. I mean, independently, and then after we got together, we just have always just been fascinated by filmmaking.
But I will tell everybody who wants to be a producer and make movies, 10 years making this, we have not got a return on our investment yet. So that's what I'm saying. That's that in your heart of hearts, holding true to what you truly believe, and knowing that that will separate the men from the boys. You're shredding the peel of an onion to get to the core of what you really want to do. And I think for us, we're taking that step forward. It's like taking a step on a red carpet for the first time, that kind of feeling, Butterflies, like, what am I doing here? Why am I dressed like this? That kind of stuff, Give me a T-shirt and a ball cap, Bob. You know what I'm saying? I didn't shave for 5 days. I shaved today for you guys.
Oh.
But you know what I'm saying. I just think that
and we appreciate it.
Well, thank you. And maybe your next interview we'll see you that way, huh? Teasing.
I've been snowed in. This is my this is my snowed in, The Shining.
Red ginger.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's okay. No problem. I think you both look great anyway. So. But
well, I gotta ask you guys. Say you're big movie buffs. What are your favorite films?
Oh, my favorite has always been Nashville by Robert Altman. 1975, and in
Fancy
fact,
that.
And you lived in Nashville. How serendipitous.
yes, I.
And she even asked him in the movie what his favorite director was, and he said Robert Altman.
That's right. That's right. That's why it's in the movie.
Draw from real life.
Yes. But along with Robert Altman, I would say Hitchcock is one of my favorite directors. He's one of our favorites.
Yes, definitely.
I think your favorite film is Rear Window.
I love
isn't it?
Rear Window. I love the whole set design and how they took it all the way down to the basement and built it up. That set was absolutely huge. And so for me, it's like when I see a movie and I see it shot, that's great. Thelma Ritter, all those actors did a fantastic job. But I'm always having to know what's behind the camera. How did they do that? Why did they do that? How did they fit all of that in there? You know, those are the things that always boggle my mind. Vertigo, I love Vertigo. Pretty much like anything with Katharine Hepburn, to be honest. I think she's a fabulous actress. And I also like the big epic films, you know. I love Ten Commandments. You know, yeah, The Yellow Brick Road, I'll go with that too. And, you know, I mean, where they used color when she opened the door, went from black and white. I mean, how they made that tornado, that twister, you know, back in the 30s, those are the things that just totally blow my mind. And so those are what makes films to me fantastic. Giant, you know, I can go on and on.
And I've always had a fondness for really bad movies. The low budget
Ed Wood,
you know, Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Oh, you need to talk to Conrad here then. Conrad loves that stuff.
His eyebrows went up. I saw.
I love Schlock.
This is the place where Steve and I kind of deviate because he
Right.
doesn't really care for these.
I'm reality.
But
here.
I love those old low budget films of the 50s and 60s where it was just it was all heart and
Exactly.
not much else.
Yeah, it's endearing because, you know, those people made those movies and they still do. You know, I would love for that genre. I would love for that look.
yes.
And you know, it's might not always turn out great, but I think that love for it comes through, and that to me is why I can easily watch just a low budget bad movie any day of the week over a high budget Hollywood bad movie.
Exactly.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
And
you
that's,
hear about these big Hollywood movies where, like, you know, everybody's been working on building the set and everything for hours and days and weeks, and then, like, the morning of the shoot, 6 limos roll up, and 4 of them are full of, like, agents and press people and all that stuff, and one has the director and all his hangers on, and another limo has the lead actor and all his hangers on and everything, and, you know, they're just there for the paycheck, and you're like,
right.
okay.
and I'm not. We're not ready for that. Definitely
Right.
not ready for that.
Yeah.
We kind of, and it's not that we're controlling. It's you have to create an environment for creativity. And I
Right.
know for me as a producer, when I put people under contract, or if there are issues, we talk about it away from the set. I resolve all issues because when we shoot on the day of shooting, I don't want to talk about the money. I don't want to talk about anything. Where I'm putting my other hat on. It's my creative producer hat. And we're there for that reason. And if anybody violates that, yes, I can ask them to leave. And I have to say that for the most part, a lot of people have found it to be a safe sanctuary for them to work. And you get the very best out of your actors. And that's kind of where when we were doing the auditions for Oh Crappy Day, we don't believe in cold readings. I don't think anybody benefits from it. I think that if I bring in an actor, I want you to read these lines. I want you to be prepared. Here's the motivation. Do you need to talk to the director? So when you come in, it's all on you. It's for you to lose. And I think that works a lot better. Now, in Jordan's case, when we prepped him in 10 minutes to be the lead actor, it was a cold reading, but he nailed it, you know, like crazy. And we knew we were going down the right pathway. So sometimes a cold reading can kind of hit you in the face when you least expect it. But I also feel that we're more of an acting production company. I think that we create that environment for creativity, and the actors just exude. Many people that we've worked with have talked about Lance saying, you've brought out these acting qualities that I didn't even know I had. You know, because there's not that external pressure or people picking at you and, you know, creating that, because I don't think that's appropriate on a set for 5 people to be talking at somebody, telling them what they want and yanking on their hair and putting an eyelash in, and, you know, let's not do that. So
Right.
yeah.
And it's also very important to feed them well.
Well,
They will
yes,
appreciate
I'm
it.
an Italian. Yes, my lead actor said feed them, and I did.
Yes.
But I would back to what Conrad was saying about just the love of making the movies. I always recommend people who are interested in low-budget filmmaking to see the movie Ed Wood from 1994, which is about this man who was called the worst filmmaker of all time. But it is such a love letter to these strange
Misfits.
people getting together and making
That's
movies that it is very inspiring.
I've sat through half of it. I'm working on it.
I'm with Lance. It's a very inspirational movie for anybody who wants to, who really wants to do it, and knows that there is not necessarily a big pot of gold waiting for you.
Yes,
But if you love it enough, you can, even if you don't make Citizen Kane, if you love the thing you're working on and you're willing to put everything into it, you can make something you're proud of.
Yeah.
It's totally worth it.
And that's kind of where I go back to, never expecting anything because you're never disappointed. I think that you kind of have to shoot from the heart, go with your gut, but have a business sense enough to know that you're going into a gray area if you are. And I think that that's really important. I think a lot of times with young filmmakers, I think they go in with all that heart and they don't, the business side of it kind of goes to the wayside where they trust that in other people. And I think that's kind of a bad place to be for somebody who's trying to break into filmmaking. So I'm always leery.
It's good to have someone who has a business background.
Yeah. If you find them, let me know.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Well, I think we'll go ahead and we've been going for almost an hour now. So, Conrad, we don't have any more questions coming in, do we?
The other was a comment from Christina Nelson saying she's heard good things about the movie, but I guess she hasn't seen it yet.
Go to Chattanooga, Christine. Go to Chattanooga.
There you go. So, aside from hopefully gearing up on a feature-length production of Oh Crappy Day, do you guys have anything else in the works?
I'm going to be working on a mockumentary. Part of it is set in the present, and then part of it is set in 1974. And it will actually incorporate a lot of the elements of bad filmmaking because it's this group of young people in '74 who are coming together to make their movie about this sort of end of the world story. And of course, they have like no money to do it with. So
sound familiar?
Yeah. So I have the general outline for the story and some of the main characters, but it's going to have to wait till I finish these other projects.
Right. Well, the other project we have is actually as a result of winning at a festival was there was a group of guys from London and they had their full-length feature screened. And so after our win, of course, what do? You're like, you can't go to sleep, so you close the bar down. So we got to talking with these guys until 2 o'clock in the morning, and this one guy I've been talking to was asking us what other scripts we've got and this, that, and I was talking about the period films, and there was one called The Imp of the Perverse, and I'd love to shoot it in England if I could, and the UK, and he says, well, can you send me the script? And so here I am thinking he was an actor in the movie. He's with the London Film Commission.
Wow. So
we sent him the script. We Skyped while we were in Houston at the World Fest. At the same time, we were doing an interview with the NNO from Houston to Raleigh. And so we got on Skype, and there were 3 areas of the script that he wanted to button up. Lance had written it a decade or so ago. It was the same areas he wanted to button up. So we're going to send that out, and when he read it, he spoke with some people, and he said, I think we can actually fund it wholly in England if you're interested. So the next step here is to finish up on the fine-tuned points of the script, send it over there. So I may be taking a trip over to London to talk to the Film Commission to do a little bit of a pitching exercise for our period film set in 1840, which is set in an insane asylum. So that's more up our alley right there.
And it features daguerreotypes.
And it features daguerreotypes.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, cool, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us. Thank you to everyone in the audience for watching our interview with Lance Bacon and Steve Neilson of Dagtype Films. Where can people find more of your stuff?
They can follow us on Facebook.
Twitter.
Either you can go to Dagtype Films, just type that in, or you can type in Lance Bacon, Steve Nielson. You can also go to Twitter under Dagtype Films, and we have a website, www.dagtypefilms.com.
Cool. What kind of stuff we got coming up in the film community in the next couple weeks, comrade?
Well, let's see. It's not us, but on the 27th, Triangle Artworks is having their New Year's Smash, which is a free event at the Frontier that starts at 5:30. If you go to Triangle Artworks' website, you can get a free ticket to Eventbrite for that. That should be really good. That's more about the larger Triangle creative community, not just film. So there should be graphic designers, musicians, whatever.
Oh, cool.
Filmmaking requires a lot of different types of talent, so it's a good way to meet those
really
people in those other areas.
They don't always have to be in front of the camera.
Yep.
And then Triangle Film Community's next event is February 5th at the Cary Theater. We're doing an encore of the Best of Film Spark from 2015. So we got 8 short local films that we'll be doing, and hopefully we'll have enough filmmakers turn out to do a good Q&A.
Fantastic.
Not bobble tap dance for 15 minutes.
Okay. Well, we'll be.
You toned it down. You told me a half hour earlier, so okay, I'm gonna have to cut out a couple moves.
I know you just quit smoking.
We'll bring the cardboard box so we can break dance in the parking lot.
Oh Lord, I gotta get in shape now. Well, there you go, folks. A lot of cool stuff going on, and of course, Lance and Steve got some cool stuff coming up too. So this has been another episode of Local Film Talk. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter at Local Film Talk. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube if you want to see the videos. That's just the Local Film Talk channel on YouTube. If you don't have time to watch, you can always download the podcast on iTunes. Maybe I'll get it on SoundCloud or Stitcher or one of those one of these days. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at ParadiseBob. Conrad is running
Triangle Film Communities on Twitter at NCFilm.
Yep. He's in charge of Triangle Film Community stuff, so you want to see his stuff, keep an eye on that. And that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for sticking with us for another episode of Local Film Talk, and we'll see you. Say what?
I said it's been great talking with you guys.
Thanks,
Oh, you
Conrad.
too.
Yes, thank you, Lance and Steve. Thank you very much.
Take care, everybody.
Have a good night.
Yep, and thank you to everybody for watching. We'll see you next week.